Part the island, I said, thanks for the down there.
This is the amount of $2 million. Okay. Raise your hand, so every supervisor can.
What are they gonna take that first?
All right.
Check. I didn't have a car with me.
Somebody else do.
Somebody else's car.
Okay, we have 3 here, so. Well. Okay, there she comes. Okay. Ready? All right, we're back in regular session at
125.
125, okay.
The board entered executive session at approximately 12:49 p.m. for the purpose of conducting business and discussions regarding the Byron Clinton Quarter and employment of outside counsel. The purpose is authorized for executive session by section 2541(7), subsection 4B and 4G, for strategy sessions or negotiations with respective litigation, and also for the transaction of business and discussion regarding the prospective purchase, sale, and leasing of lands. Those entering executive session were Supervisors Robert Graham, Alfonso Hunter, Peggy Hobson Calhoun, Robert Walker, and Kenneth Stokes. Also present for the Chancery Clerk's Office was Greta Lovell, County Administrator Carmen Davis, Deputy Sheriff Davis, Budget and Finance Director Lily Woods. And at 12:50, Counsel Cherie Prince entered. At 12:50, Carl Freelix, and at 12:50, Joey Case. The first matter for discussion was the Byron Clinton Quarter, with Supervisor Graham voting A, Supervisor Hunter voting A, Supervisor Calhoun voting A, Supervisor Walker voting A, and Supervisor Stokes voting nay. It was resolved to purchase parcel number 15W, 19W, 19X, all for the acquisition of right-of-way for the Byron Clinton Quarter. The next item up for discussion was the employment of outside counsel. No action was taken. Upon a motion by Supervisor Stokes and a second by Supervisor Hunter, there was a unanimous vote to return to open session, and the board returned from open session at approximately 1:25 p.m. No other action, vote, or discussion of any kind took place in executive session.
Thank you very much. We'll now go back to Supervisor Stokes for his previous motion that he made.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Chambers and Gaylord Law Firm and Malachi be hired to advise the county and structure the transaction with the Western Group. So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly second. Discussion from Ms. Calhoun.
Yes, sir. I think that the motion that's being made is an unnecessary expenditure because the Malachi Group is already in the process of providing us recommendations based upon the financial plan that and strategies that they have discussed with this board and are going to finalize and present to this board. And I think as a part of the findings that they are doing their discussions with us, they will render some findings. So I think with that information, we will be adequately covered. Likewise, we have we're in the process of hiring a board attorney that will work with us, and in the interim, Ms. Prince is working with us, so that would be sufficient legal advice that would also be given to the board. So I think it's just an unnecessary expenditure. As a matter of fact, the Malachi Group is recommending that we have a 15% reduction in the number of contracts that are being awarded in order for this county to save money. He has documented the information, also discussed that same information. I do know with most of the board members. The Western Group has also been evaluated by our Hinds County Development Authority, and I would like for Mr. Blake Wallace to come up and explain the criteria that is used in evaluating anybody that comes before Hinds County requesting to do business.
Mr. Wallace?
Mr. President, Board, what we do when we evaluate a project is we look at the pro forma for the project to see whether it is a conservative pro forma, liberal, or whatever. By conservative, I mean we like to see, particularly in this instance, the vacancy rate being low, but still generating enough income to pay the debt. And in this situation, the pro forma looks good. We also look at the credit ratings of all the principals. We do net worth analysis, as well as we also look at personal income tax returns to verify the things that they present in their net worth. So right now, all of those things look good. Once we've done that evaluation, then it will normally, to do the agreement between the county and the entity, that would normally be passed to the county attorney.
Okay, it's, Dr. Walker.
Question for you. So has the work been done to make everyone feel comfortable with something in writing that the $20 million pass-through is not a risk for this county?
There's always going to be some type of risk, depending on how you structure your deal.
But has the due diligence been done?
Yes, the cash flow.
You mentioned a minute ago that you would lead me to believe that that has yet to be done.
No, I'm sorry, it has been done.
Has been done?
Yes, it has.
Is there any record of what the results were? I'd like to see that.
We would bring that and do it with you in executive session, because there are personal things in there that we're not allowed to put out in public record.
We need to do that ASAP.
Okay. All right, Ms. Calhoun, and then we'll move on.
Yes, I have a question to Mr. Bingham, who's sitting in the audience. What criteria would you use to evaluate or assess the financial stability of the Western Group?
You want to?
Come to the podium, yes.
Well, my name is Porter Bingham. I'm with Malachi Financial Products, Inc. And thanks for the opportunity to talk to you here this afternoon. I think many of the creditworthiness of the developers obviously are issues that the county would want to consider before entering into a guarantee agreement with the developer for this type of project. But there are also other elements to the transaction that also need to be negotiated and structured. I think a thorough review of the capital stack for the purposes of the board having a clear understanding of what that capital stack looks like currently. I agree with Blake that the sensitivity of the information that might be involved in this transaction with the developer's personal financial information should be guarded. But there should also be things like the track record of the developers involved in the proposal. I think we would look at projects that they've done in the past to see how successful they were. And there's a laundry list of things that would go into a good due diligence package for presentation to the board in order to help you feel confident about the decision that you're making.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to?
And,
Motion passes.
excuse me, and let the record reflect my reasoning for voting nay.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Oh, no, one third, I wait after that.
We have one other thing that we have to do as it relates to the Weston. Mr. Simpson, do you want to come forward, or do we have something else that we have to do, Mr. Gaylor?
Yes, your Western resolution, the TIF resolution has been passed.
So
The TIF resolution, yes.
So what we're voting on now is the
TIF resolution.
TIF resolution, that's what the motion is on.
Right.
No, I thought the motion,
That was,
That's all.
the new motion is going to be on the resolution.
Right.
supervisor.
And remember that this TIF is really a city Jacksonville.
Right.
Y'all are just participating. Great.
Right.
Mr. Stokes, I was voting no on the motion that Mr. Stokes made.
Right. I get it. Right. Okay, now,
Restate that motion, because
the motion now will be on the TIF.
Yes. No, I think he wants the initial motion.
The motion that was made and was voted on was for the hiring of Mr. Bingham.
I'm
And,
voting, no.
okay. There are three yeas, 2 nays on that vote. Now we're going back to the tax incrementing financing of the Westin Hotel. I so move that we approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Aye, and the tax increment financing is separate from.
Is that 15 years?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
15 years.
Yes.
What's the county?
The county participation,
Yes.
it would be 50% of the general fund millage, 13.09 mils, which winds up being around $35,000 a year for 15 years.
Okay. All those in favor of?
$35,000, okay.
All those in favor? Okay, all those in favor of? Opposed to?
Not voting.
One not voting, motion passes. Questions from Ms. Calhoun?
No, back to the initial motion that was made by Mr. Stokes. Let me just say, I'm also a proponent of working with the local companies in Hinds County that can provide the same kind of services. And Mr. Bingham, headquarters, I believe that's your headquarters, well, is from Atlanta, Georgia. And certainly I think we have competent, even minority companies within Hinds County that can provide the same services.
I have another motion, Mr. President.
Okay,
To the statement by Supervisor Calhoun, all she do bring them forward. She always say that, but she never bring one forward. But this is my motion. I move that any department which seeks to give raises to its employees present its proposal to the county's financial advisors. Now, let me go back. We said we're gonna stop spending months ago. Now, when we stopped spending, I thought at the same time we were stopping raises. But now we got raises coming and it's gonna break the budget. It's important that we have some kind of fund balance to take us into next year. Now, if everybody gonna bring raises up now and they approve, then that's gonna miss our budget. It's gonna knock us out the ball game with a budget. Our budget then will be in such a shape that we won't be able to do anything early on. As Ms. Wood said, at one of the meetings, we were looking at some of those funds for, I think, October November, beginning of the budget, because we don't get our money until really December and January. So, you know, that's my motion, Mr. President.
You said any department that gives raises to employees present the raises to,
The county's financial advisors.
thank you.
Okay, I have two lights on, Ms. Calhoun, Ms. Shores, Ms. Calhoun, and then
And
Dr.
these
Walker.
financial advisors supposed to look at these raises, Mr. President, and get back with the county administrator, especially the board, and let us know the ramifications of these raises.
Okay,
Yes, Mr. President, in reference to the comment that was made earlier, this board voted, excluding myself and Supervisor Walker, voted to spend money on additional contracts that we do not need. And also you voted to contract with Mr. Walker, I said,
But you said that somebody else could do the
Yes.
same thing.
yes, we do have a
Well, how
company.
is it unnecessary when this company got it, but somebody
No.
else you say could do the same thing from Jackson, but it's okay?
No, if you would respectfully allow me to
I'm just saying what you said.
complete my comments. There is another minority company within Hinds County. Even if that company was recommended, I would have voted no, simply because we have the capability on staff that has done,
Mr. President, that's not
And-
a
and
motion
that
I got on the
is-
floor.
that
We
has,
can discuss that, but I have a motion on the floor that's not dealing with that at all.
that can provide the same work. But anyway, our staff has done due diligence in
Okay.
checking this company out and has the supporting documents that can be presented to this board regarding the financial stability of the company. So I think totally all around, it's unnecessary to contract with a company to provide the same services that our
Mr.
staff
President, that's not the motion.
is
Okay.
We have a
responsible.
motion on the floor. We can talk about
And
that all
Mr.
night today.
President, Mr.
Okay.
President,
yes.
I have been very respectful to all of the members.
But that's
I do
not the motion, Supervisor
I-
Calhoun.
I-
We have a motion on the floor. You know rules of order. We deal with that motion. You wanna talk about that? We do that after we take this motion.
Let me take the motion and then go into the second, and then we'll go back to further discussion. That's the proper order in which we were supposed to do it, okay? Mr. Stokes has made a motion. Is there a second? You want to restate your motion, Mr.
Yes,
Stokes?
sir. I wrote it down so that I can make sure I can kind of put it. I move that any department which seeks to give raises to its employees present its proposal to the county's financial advisors. Now, what we're trying to do is make sure that we don't break this budget. We need the fund balance, money where we have savings that'll take us into the next budget to make sure we don't have to go borrow money from the banks that they've been doing in the past. We need to make sure that we have someone to stop the bleeding, because they're gonna start spending all the money, saying at the last minute, we stopped the spending, where they can't go buy, supplies, and they can't go buy furniture. That's not what they normally do at the end of the budget. Now they're gonna give money as raises, and those raises are reoccurring. These raises don't stop there, they are reoccurring, and that's gonna affect the budget totality.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Is,
I want to second it, but Mr. Stokes is taking the river, I'm taking a tributary, we're gonna end up at the port. But I think that the requests from department heads need to come to the board. And the board needs to make a decision as to whether or not any request for raises will be honored for the remainder of this fiscal year. And in the future, any requests for raises that are not pre-approved or authorized by this board come to the board.
I think that's what he's saying.
Well, he said to the financial advisor.
Well, it's so many, you don't know, we need somebody to analyze before it comes to us. It's gonna come to us.
But I think they need to come to us and then we
First?
give them to, yeah, they need to come to us through the county administrator. And upon reaching us, then we can refer them to the financial advisor.
But that's the same thing, because it's gonna come through the county administrator first. And that's why we putting a layer in there to analyze. It don't come, straight to them. It's gonna, all documents got to come through the county administrator and finance. And we're saying, let's send it to the financial advisor, then we'll have the layer to bring it back to us and let us know what we got the drawbacks, how it's gonna affect our budget.
Well, you have it, but I think we're trying to end up at the same point. For that reason, I'm gonna offer a second to that motion.
Good. Okay. Now, further discussion.
Yes.
Mrs. Calhoun.
Well, not on that subject matter. But
Okay.
Supervisor Walker is correct.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Hold 1 second. Supervisor Hunter.
I know we can try to curtail the cost and reel it in, but I think it still need to come, all the requests, I think, still need to come directly to the county administrator. And maybe we do evaluation with the financial advisor, because that way the flow would always be intact. And we put it out where this private entity may, for some, whatever reason, be.
Okay. What's your comment regarding this, Ms. Davis, so we can go ahead and vote?
Yes, sir. I just for clarity, and I think, kind of added to it what I was gonna say. And just for further information, all requests are brought to county administrator by way of personnel. So all personnel requests are brought into our personnel department, and I am made aware of it. But for the sake of the motion, and I do appreciate it, because I think it's much needed, I do totally agree with it, because it does affect our budget. But I want to make sure when the board takes this action, you're directing to me, when I hear you are directing staff to no longer process
Correct.
various requests from all departments, even elected officials, and make sure that it's brought to the financial advisor to evaluate as to its impact on our budget.
Correct.
And then further brought to you for consideration and direction.
Correct. All in favor of it?
Mr.
I'm sorry,
President.
Ms. Calhoun.
Let me just say, you made one motion that's not listed on the agenda. Now you're getting ready to make another motion that is not listed on the agenda. So both motions, if they pass, will be illegal motions, illegal actions taken by this board.
Well, we speak through our minutes.
True. But you must have the item
We speak through our minutes.
on the agenda.
All right. Do you want to give us some guidance on this as to whether or not we can go ahead and do this as an emergency item or as an item for the agenda?
This matter can be brought under other business, and in addition,
This is a special meeting.
the matter could also have been brought under personnel.
I think you should read the statute.
Before we go ahead and vote on this, do you need to give me some guidance as to whether or not we can vote on this under personnel, or whether we need to read the statute, or what we need to do since we have protest hearings, if we can go ahead and,
I think we can give me an opportunity to research this, and I'll get back with you after the protest hearing.
okay, because we need to go ahead and do something on this as it relates to what we need to do. All right?
Can we recess?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to do. Right. Okay. All right, if everyone's in agreement with that, then we'll,
The matter regarding the contract needs to be researched as well.
Which contract? I know you saw that on the agenda. That was on the agenda.
yeah.
The Western Hotel was on the agenda. Right.
But not the contract regarding hiring outside assistance. The Western subject matter, yes.
But whenever that subject matter is there, Mr. President, we have authority to address it anyway. Western Hotel was there. We made sure that we cover the counties behind with anything that might come up that would that would impact this county in a negative manner.
Okay.
And that's covered.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stokes. Now Mr. Walker, and then
Mr.
we'll...
President, the attorney indicated that she would research the matter regarding raises, and we would deal with that when we come back. We could also make that determination applicable to the other issue. That is, on the Western, financial and legal advisors to the board on the Western, because they were the one and the same in terms of how they got performance.
Okay, what we'll do is, we'll wait for the good guidance from the board attorney, and, you know, if, just give us the guidance as to what we need to do, and we'll go from that particular point. Now, let me go to recessing the current,
You don't have to do that.
you don't have to,
The protest hearings are part of your agenda today.
okay,
But you didn't recess and leave and then come back, you just keep on.
okay, all right. Since we didn't have to leave at 1:30, we're still going on, okay? All right, now, is Mr. Stokes here? Mr. Stokes, if you will come forward, please. And we'll be going directly into protest hearings.
I'm going to mark the motion or second on the floor as well.
Correct. Would you also give us the time that we're going into protest hearings?
149.
1:49. Let that also be stated. This is to date, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Today.
Not the final figure. Okay. Okay. All right, Mr. Stokes?
It'll be all right. I know, we're almost sick today, it's okay.
Mr. Stokes, for the new supervisors are here, would you just explain to us right quick while she's passing it out, why we're here and what we're doing?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. In the package that is being passed out to you, when you open it, you will have two properties. You have personal property, and also you have real property. And what we're prepared to do is start at protest 1. And we might go down and you see 1, you might have to go to your real, then you might have to go back to your personal. That's why you have 2 of them, but they are in number.
Right, I understand that,
Okay.
but what I want you to do is I want you to explain the purpose for what we're doing.
Okay, the purpose is that if anybody has a protest, and when they contact the assessor's office, if we cannot work with them to have a difference or of opinion of where we can get together to try to resolve that, at that point, then it's related on to the board of supervisors. And, okay? And then our protest 1, which you would have coming up, is a personal property account. And board, also what we would do, let me, before I get started, let you know when you're following your sheets, look over to your left-hand side, they're gonna have the business, the location, and when you come all the way over to your right, you would have the remarks that's coming from the assessor's office. And also you have any adjustments, if adjustments that need to be made. First of all, we have Precoat Metals, 1095 Mano Davis Drive, count number 0929503. And if you look at your remarks, we have where we had revised values that was based on the class of equipment. No additional economic obsolescence was applied to this account. And also DOR has built in these adjustments into the depreciation schedule. And board, supervisor, if I may, Who you'll be hearing from today will be Chief Deputy Joey Thompson, Chief Deputy Personal Property, Ms. Laura Burks. You also have Supervisor in Personal Property, Ms. Phillips. It has been a long day. You also have Supervisor Scott Piner over Commercial, also Supervisor Bob Mary. And at this point, if you like, Mr. President, we have some representatives from Precoat Metals that's here. We would let you invite them to come up, state their case, and what you have information inside your pack. And at that point, you'll be hearing from Chief Deputy Joey Thompson and Chief Deputy Laura Burks.
Okay, before we ask them, is that the only person that we have that's actually before us today with a protest? Mr. Stokes?
Sir?
Is that the only person that we have before us today with a protest?
Yes, sir, that's the only one.
Okay,
if you
and
like,
what, are they on the real or the personal?
they're on the personal.
Okay, and what number are they on the personal?
They're the first one, number 1 on personal property.
Okay, and if you would just have them to come to the front?
And could we set
to
a
the
time
podium?
limit on that, Mr. Supervisor, no more than 5 minutes, please? At the most, or at your convenience, if you want to go 3, that's fine with me, but let's put a time limit on.
I will, but I also want to allow each supervisor to ask their question, so we'll...
Okay, that's fine. That's fine from the supervisor standpoint.
Okay, thank you very much. So if those individuals are present, please come forward.
Mr. President, I've got some handouts as well.
Okay.
What you'll have is a copy of the protest that was filed with respect to Precoat Metals. And what we're asking for is an economic obsolescence adjustment to the value for tax year 2013.
Okay.
And also, this next handout, I'm sorry. This next handout is basically it's a presentation that we put together that we can follow through and go through with you to make sure you understand some of the basic concepts of business personal property valuation as relates to economic obsolescence. Would you like a copy too?
We'd like to give you as much time as you need, but we also need you to be brief as well, because I don't know how many other protests we're going to have on this. If you would, when you get to the podium, just please state your name and your company, and we'll go from there.
I'm Mike Martin with Martin and Campbell Tax Advisors.
Okay.
Francine Campbell, Martin and Campbell Tax Advisors.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
But there's nothing new about economic obsolescence as it relates to personal property. For those of y'all who might have an experience with commercial real estate, the concept's very similar. If you have identical commercial buildings and one's completely full and the other one is half full, obviously the one that's half full is going to be valued lower. Business personal property works the same way. And with our case, we've documented where the plant is not running at full capacity. And when it's not running at full capacity, there's a methodology to grant or to calculate an economic obsolescence adjustment. And that's what we've done in this case. So if you have an idle plant, the county will reduce the property tax, will grant an economic obsolescence adjustment. But if the plant's running at full capacity or half capacity, the county will value it identically, assuming the plant equipment costs the same. And also, I know we're short on time, so I don't think I can go through this whole thing.
Yeah, but I want you to be able to have enough time to where you can state your case.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I'd like to mention that we do recognize that the state's trending factors and depreciation factors do factor in market conditions for assets of a business. However, it's probably taken at a higher level. It's not drilling specifically down to the specific industry of coil coating, for example, as in the case of pre-coat metals. Thus, we feel that there should also be an exception to recognize some of the other external factors that are involved, which may be affecting the production of this plant.
And the methodology that we used, and it's in your slide, it's called the inutility penalty. And this is an accepted methodology by such organizations as the International Association of Assessors Officers, which a lot of county members are members of. So the county is aware of this methodology for granting an additional economic obsolescence adjustment. And also, there are other states, and we have code or regulations from the other states discussing how they will consider economic obsolescence when it's presented by the taxpayer. Finally, and we have just one copy that we've made, but we have, if you go to case studies, we provide various cases where a plant has been operating, but at a lower capacity. We presented these types of cases before in front of boards or in front of value adjustment boards, and we've gotten these types of adjustments before. So this type of thing that we're requesting is nothing new or out of the ordinary.
And may I add that it's a temporary adjustment that we're asking for, because economic conditions change year to year. It may be next year this plant might be going gangbusters, and they might not be suffering from some external factors. In addition to, again, according to the trending and depreciation factors that are worked into the state tables, this is outside of those factors, extraordinary conditions. And what we are asking for, based on the inutility calculation, is an additional value adjustment of approximately 48%, and that's based directly in accordance with the calculation of the inutility penalty. Again, we do have other case documentation. I've only put together one copy, but you're welcome to have this booklet that has 6 cases in it.
It's the detail for the summarized version of the case studies on your sheet.
Okay, any questions from the board? Mrs. Scallon? Dr. Walker? Mr. Hunter? Supervisor Stokes?
Yes, sir, thank you. Now, we're talking about personal property, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what, furniture, fixtures, equipment? Is the furniture, fixtures, equipment still there in the building?
Yes, sir.
It's in the building?
Yes, sir, it is.
So you're saying it shouldn't be taxed?
No, sir. We're saying that the manufacturing machinery, since it's not operating at capacity, is worth less than if it was operating at capacity.
But it's in the building?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, it's been a long time since I did tax collector's work. That's back then when Herb Grill was there, but, you know, maybe the law has changed now. If you saying it's been depreciated, that might be another issue. But if it's in the building, it's taxable.
It is taxable, yes, sir. We're not claiming it's exempt. We're claiming that the value set by the Hinds County is higher than it should be because the machinery is not operating at capacity. It would be akin to going back to commercial real estate. If you have two buildings that are identical, you know, it's built the same year, have the same rental capacity, and one is fully occupied, it's gonna be worth more than the one that's only half full. The building's still there, and then they're identical, but one's half full and the other one's completely occupied.
Now, this is what I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing that we stopped doing some work, so we took the equipment out a year, so it wouldn't be on the tax roll. I'm hearing that all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment is still in the bill.
Yes, sir.
And the assessment right, but it's too high. Did they put the depreciation in the equipment? Was that done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask a question to Mr. Stokes. Does the appreciation or depreciation, is it factored upon the capacity of the building? Or whether or not the building, is that a determining factor as to whether or not the building is full or not full, or operating at full capacity or not full capacity? Does it have anything to do with anything?
No, sir, it does not. You have a depreciation schedule that is furnished by the state annually. And the depreciation schedule, everything is in there for as, every piece of equipment is operational out of the facility, and the depreciation is already added into it.
Okay, so could you give me a yes or no answer as to whether or not the capacity, or whether or not a building is either half full, half empty? Does that have anything to do with the valuation?
No, sir, it does not.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask you to clarify that? Is your question in relation to real property valuation or business personal property valuation?
Business personal property.
You've got to change your wording. I think you mentioned the capacity of the building. We're talking about machinery and equipment, so
Okay,
it's
well,
production capacity.
okay.
I guess that
Production
I was-
capacity or, I guess what I'm trying to say is not only the production capacity, but the people that are in the bill or the manufacturing of the product that's inside, whether or not it's actually being at full capacity or whether you're doing it at full capacity.
Correct. For example, is it
Right.
running 24/7?
That's what I'm
Or is it
trying to-
running 3 days a week?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify what your question was to
Okay.
the assessor.
Okay. Mrs. Calhoun?
I would like to hear from the tax assessor, please.
Okay. Okay. You'll have an opportunity to follow up once she finishes, if you need to. Okay?
Okay, I'm Laura Burris, and I'm the Chief Deputy for Business Personal Property, and this is my assistant, Sandra Phillips. Okay.
Could you speak up a little bit louder where we can hear you? Okay.
Okay, I'm Laura Burris, Chief Deputy, Business Personal Property. This is my assistant, Sandra Phillips. Okay, first of all, pre-code is operating regular as far as business personal property is concerned. We would apply additional depreciation if the business was closed and the equipment was sitting idle. But all the equipment is operating at a regular basis. So the State Tax Commission have in place a depreciation table, which we have applied to all of the equipment. In that depreciation table, the state issue a new depreciation table every year. Every year they take into account the economic system, whatever the economic is for that particular year, they give us a new schedule for that year. And we have applied that to their equipment. They mentioned that pre-code is not operating at full capacity. We obtained information that a business that's not operating at full capacity would not have a need to sublease an additional facility in that same area. There wouldn't be a need for an additional location in order to house more equipment and more inventory. That's another reason why we feel like the business is operating at its capacity. Again, the tax assessor's office stand with the value that we have for this account. We feel like we have treated this company equal, because that's what the state tax commission demand from all counties, is have all businesses equal in value. And as long as we apply what the state tax commission, the guidelines of the state tax commission, we feel like we're in line.
Mrs. Calhoun.
Yes, question to the company, Precoat. The case studies that have been presented here, are the businesses operating at full capacity or are they closed?
They are not closed and they're not running at full capacity. It's somewhere between being closed and full capacity.
To the tax assessor, Ms. Burns. What statutes are you referring to, please?
Apologize for, Mr. Stokes, do you have that statute handy? Do you have that statute handy?
About the method of pricing?
Yes.
Okay, that would be, under chapter 8, the appraisal of personal property, subpart number 2, 106, from the manual of the Mississippi State Tax Commission.
Okay. Supervisor Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Burns, in your presentation, you said you and your office have talked with the state tax commission.
Yes, sir.
And they guided you through the whole process.
Yes, sir.
Is there a certain name, a person that you
Danny
have?
Hall.
Dan Hall.
He's the supervisor for personal property at the Department of Revenue.
Okay, and this, you follow state law and his suggestion on everything that you did.
Yes, sir.
If the company had shut down, then depreciation and other things would have kicked in. But because they've been operating fully, Dan Hall and the state gave you a form and said, this is what you're supposed to use.
Yes.
Is that
We
correct?
have their backing, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. We'll allow the company, would you like to just follow up in conclusion?
Yes, sir.
Would you come to the podium and follow up in conclusion?
I guess we'll begin with a couple of points. First, to note, we do have evidence that Precoat Metals in Byram is not operating at full capacity. As Ms. Burse has stated that it's operating normally, we have evidence to the otherwise, and it's in your packet. If you'll turn to page, let's see, it'll be page number, about the 4th page, you'll see a schedule of Precoat plant performance. And this is a schedule of their lineal feet standards for capacity that they should be operating at. And then it also demonstrates the actual lineal feet produced. So they are operating under capacity.
About half capacity.
And again, this can be due to outside of the normal trending factors and depreciation tables that are presented to the local jurisdictions by the state, this is additional obsolescence that should be considered. Again, let's say, for example, is it Double G or Metal Coaters, perhaps a competitor that's next door to Precoat Metals. If they were operating at full capacity and Precoat Metals is operating at half capacity, let's say just in theory, they have the same identical equipment in each facility, the cost is the same, how would the value, how would the market value be measured between those two businesses? Let's say that you were a purchaser. Would you pay $100 for the company that's going gangbusters or $100 for the company that's operating at half capacity? Is the market value the same? And that drills down to, and we're speaking assets, we're not speaking real in terms of real estate.
And also, I think Francine talked to Mr. Hall as well.
I did. I also spoke with Mr. Danny Hall, and to get his guidance and to also understand the rules and the where these trending factors derive from. And we completely understand that these trending factors, the industrial trending factors, are based on Marshall valuation methods, which again for the most part, it's a quarterly publication that lists valuations of certain machinery and equipment for industry. However, that's a generalization. It's at a very high level, and we just don't think that those factors drill down specific to this industry or to any other industry.
Okay, thank you very much. We have Supervisor Hunter and Supervisor Stokes.
Don't leave.
No, I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One is, how many employees y'all have?
I'm not positive.
Have you had a layoff?
I'd have to check. I can find that out for you, let you know.
Have you hired?
I'm sorry?
The accountants, the tax advisors.
But we do not work for the company, sir.
No, we're representatives of the company. We would need to contact the.
See, my question is, it's a company, somewhat of a complex situation. You, Mr. Stokes, y'all are assessing and valuing, two questions. You're assessing personal property such as equipment, furniture, machinery. Okay. And when you put the question out there that it's not operating at full capacity, it drills down to, I have to have measurements of the operational capacity. What can it operate at and what is it operating at versus old machinery or old furniture versus new equipment or new furniture. You see what I'm saying? Because you can take an old machinery, if you're in a machine shop, a coating facility, old mill machine or something that makes certain parts, it almost can make them as fast as a new $400,000 EDM machine. And you can't evaluate the two the same. So it's it's complex. If you hadn't had a layoff or downturn in the operation of the facility, it's hard for me to focus the lens and to see the disparity up and down in that. And you've been an accountant, look like to me you all would be able to tell me if you had a layoff on your cash flow sheet, has there been a big downturn or something of that nature?
Well, we're personal property consultants and not financial consultants, but that information we can find out for you, sir.
Okay. Supervisor Stokes.
Thank you. Looking at your information, and keep in mind that you're tax advisors, that it looks like your overall goal is to try to get some adjustments. National Copper, Alabama, 2013, 15% adjustment. Precoat Metals, Arkansas, 30% adjustment. American Trim, Alabama, 52% adjustment. Steelscape, Alabama, 23% adjustment. Westerville, Alabama, 22% adjustment. Now, I can understand a business trying to help a bigger business get adjustments when they are necessary. But they're trying to follow the state law, even though everybody's saying that they talked to Dan Hall. But if they allow your adjustments to occur, then other businesses that come and say the similar thing will look for the similar treatment.
Absolutely.
So, I can understand your business, I understand what you do, I understand. Only thing I need to do to help me make a vote today, because you said the equipment is in there, you said the furniture is in there, the machinery is in there. I think you said that you're not using it as much, and I see some pictures of the parking lot that's not as full as it used to be or something. I'm reading between the lines. But you put the tax assessor in a position where if he make a decision to make your adjustment, I know you got to go to these people and say, well, I got you an adjustment, no matter how big or large. What was your goal? What kind of adjustment were you trying to get? I see most of your adjustments around 10 or 15%. Was that your goal, 15% adjustment or 10% adjustment?
Our adjustment that we're asking for is based
What was it?
exactly on their production number.
10 or 15%, what was it? What?
48%, sir. They're not
You want a
operating,
48%?
they're operating at half capacity.
Okay, you want a 48% reduction in
Yes,
Hinds
sir.
County?
A temporary reduction based on the economics of this facility.
Okay. And the question I went back to, because, you know, we don't get paid by how much you produce. We get paid by the furniture, fixtures, equipment.
And the fair market value of that furniture, fixtures, and equipment, sir.
Well, the value is absolutely part of it. That's how they assess the value, make sure that the value of the equipment is a percentage of what we charge. But are you saying y'all got old equipment in there?
There's old, there might be some new equipment.
I'm just asking. I know
Yes, sir.
you went in there. Y'all went in there
Yes.
and looked.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And there's a lot of old equipment in there.
And some new
Yes, and
equipment
new
too.
Thank you. All right, would you like to close with a statement, and then we'll move on from here?
Sure.
Come on.
The provision for economic obsolescence is in the Mississippi tax code, and it's right in here. Economic obsolescence must be proved on a case-by-case basis to the tax assessor, and that's what we're trying to prove.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. President, I think the tax assessor has done a good job, and I support they followed, from what I understand, the state tax commission recommendation, and that's normally how it goes. You talk to the person at the state tax commission, make sure that you're in line with state law, and they have this young man named Dan Hall, and the appraiser did everything. The company said that there's new equipment, there's some old equipment. I think that we should support the tax assessor, and I so move we support the tax assessor's assessment.
It's been moved, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes?
Opposed to? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Stokes. Continue, please.
Number 2.
Okay, protest number 2 is Marshall's, number 797, account number 01-40206. They accepted the revised value. Okay, protest number 3, Earthlink Carrier LLC, account number 1345998. They accepted the revised value. Protest number 4, have 2 accounts. Jackson North Dallas is at home, account number 01-40679. The taxpayer accept the revised value. Account number, the second account, ISD Renal Inc., account number 01-33433. Taxpayer accept the revised value.
Now we're going back to the number 5, will be real property.
And the property under Woodlands of Jackson, parcel number 830-90-39. We recommend no change to that account. Is there anybody here to speak to that? Number 6 is also real property. That's Horizon Apartments, parcel number 829-1. Also recommend no change. Anyone here to speak to that? Number 7, Woodbine Road Partner, parcel number 621-39. Recommend no change. Blossom Apartments, that's also under number 7, parcel number 621-66. Recommend no change. Anyone here to speak to it? Number 8, Wood Village, parcel number 696-201. Also recommend no change. Anyone here for that? Number 9, Rebel Pine Ridge Apartments, parcel number 607-56-4. Also recommend no change to that account. Anyone here?
Back to personal property.
Protest number 10 is CIT. They have 8 accounts that they protest. Within that 8, well, I guess I have to read them. The first one is CIT Finance, account number 01-470, excuse me,
Just let them know that they accepted all those.
okay.
Revised.
They accepted all the revised values. They had a few that was no changes, but all the values were accepted. Protest number 11 is Olive Garden, number 1508, account number 01-35220. Taxpayer accepted the revised value. 12, protest 12, Surgical of Jackson, LTD. Taxpayer accept the revised value. 13, Mississippi Surgical Center. Taxpayer accept the revised value.
Now we're back to the reading.
This would be number 14 under real property. It's Centro Heritage, parcel number 738-9. A reduction has been made in assessed value of $187,506, and the clerk has received a letter of acceptance.
Protest number 15, AT&T Mobility. They had a total of 70 accounts that they protested, and they accepted the revised value on all the 70 accounts.
Back to real property. Protest number 16, Heidelberg Properties, parcel number, I'm on page 16. You want me to do all of these? These all have a reduction, so we probably need to just, or most of them have one. Need to have those on record. Go ahead, you just sell. 16, all have been reduced to some amount, and letter of acceptance has been submitted to the clerk by the taxpayer. Number 17 is the same company, and they have several parcels there, and they have all been accepted, and a letter has been received by the clerk. And you've got one, number 18, you.
Number 18, Providence Plantation. Account number 0744836, and the taxpayer accepts the revised value. 19, Icon Finance, 0147365. Although the value for that account was moved to another account and zeroed out, and the taxpayer accepts that revised value.
See, I still have 18 as the same company with the real property, and they've accepted the values on those, and the letter has been submitted. Next will be 20, on page 20. That's CarMax, parcel number 709-361-5, no change. Under the same protest number, parcel number 709-361-6. Reduction was made in the amount of $159,777, and the letter of acceptance by the taxpayer has been submitted to the clerk. Number 21, real property, Shant Hospitality, parcel number 1008-31. Reduction made in the amount of $141,668. Letter of acceptance submitted. Second parcel number under the same protest, parcel number 1008-33. No change, letter of acceptance submitted on that. I think that's all for real property.
Protest number 22, it's two accounts, Rainbow number 493 and Rainbow 497. Account number 01-36508 and 01-43420. In both accounts, the taxpayer accept the revised value.
Okay,
So move, Mr. President.
it's been moved. Is there a second
The motion is to accept tax.
to the taxpayer's recommendation? Yes. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes.
I'm sorry, who is that?
Dr. Walker?
Mr. President.
Yes.
I want to thank the tax assessor's office for their diligent work. This Halliburton Properties, I think they have William Ward. Most of that property over by Chastain
That's a lot of rental property, rental houses.
that you got over there.
He's actually a tax rep representing the owners. He doesn't really own any of it. He just comes in each year and represents.
Okay.
Now, any kind of income producing house, that's a rental house, is usually valued based on the income produced. And they submit that information to the bureau.
Okay. Greta.
Thank you, Mr.
Go ahead, Greta.
I think, well, hopefully this will be the last thing, but I think we've got one more item we need to handle. We request approval of the 2013 recapitulation of assessments of real and personal property of Hinds County.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? I'll second it. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay, thank you very much. Now we go back to,
I think you need to go back and readdress the contract with Keisha and Porter. That is actually a grant from the administrative office of the courts
right,
that pays that direct amount to her for those services at youth court.
So moved.
okay. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll go to Sheree, and I think this is all finishing up. You have my paper, Greta.
We'll have to meet for another 2 months after this
I wish, okay, go ahead.
I've had an opportunity to review the Open Meetings Act and all the statutes as it relates to the Open Meetings Act and special meetings. And I don't see any apparent prohibitions on voting on matters that are related to matters that are already pre-printed on the agenda. The statute specifically notes, section 2541, 7, you have certain requirements as it relates to notice and as it relates to the form and the information required in minutes, but not necessarily the agenda. It's silent on that. So I don't specifically see any prohibitions on voting on matters that are not specifically printed on the agenda as long as the subject matter is there. And in this instance, where the subject matter involving the Westin Hotel and personnel matters was pre-printed on the agenda, I don't see a prohibition in voting on matters that are related, directly related to those issues.
Okay, all right, Mrs. Calhoun.
The agenda item specifically speaks to the approving the tip of the Westin.
Yes, ma'am, and that is under resolutions, but I know it has been the practice of the board, at least as I've been here, to vote on matters at its discretion as it relates to the subject matter, as long as the discussion has been brought up. But that is at the discretion of the board.
Okay, so what you're saying is that both things that we voted on was okay to vote on those particular issues?
I don't see a prohibition against voting on those matters. It will be at the discretion of the board if they choose to take action on those matters.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Now, I'd like to read that the next regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors is September the 3rd. The next work session schedule, September 12th, and your comments were noted. Okay, the next regular special meeting, and this is one where we set the budget and tax levy. Very important meeting will be September 13th. The next special meeting of the Hinds County Board of Supervisors will be September the 16th. Any additional special recess or other meetings may be held by posting minute entries or by other means as allowed by law. We're now entertaining a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I think,
Yes. Labor Day is, I have no idea, I think it's the 5th. Yeah. Okay.
The 7th?
Yes.
do we carry both the lines? Yes, we just carry one. That's what I think. She said we didn't carry the soccer item, Mr. President.
Okay. I think we did carry it,
The first one.
we carried the second one too. I just don't think that what we did was, there was a question that came about at that time. Okay. All right. All those in, well, before we adjourn, that was the one where Mr. Stokes made the motion about the raises.
Yes,
Okay. All those in favor of?
yes.
Who made the second?
I made it.
Dr. Walker made the second. All those in favor of?
Yes.
Opposed to? Motion passes. Now, we now have a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been moved and properly second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
What's up, right there? It's 9 o'clock. I ain't had no breath for lunch today. I'm gonna have a fit up in here,
Every meeting in the back. Because I look like where was that?
I wanted to make sure you handle it.
You know I have to sign those. Look at the sign.
So we don't.
Yes, sir.